Keys to the Commonwealth, a podcast where we share the real stories of local community members who are using real estate to build personal wealth, along with tips and tricks from professionals across the industry. And now, your host, Landry Fields.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. Today's episode is brought to you once again by Nova Insurance, of course, where we love people through insurance, whether it's your business, real estate portfolio, home, auto, or life. We work as an independent risk advisor to find the best coverages and options for your unique needs. We love being able to kind of, again, pick and move things around to where they need to be. It's not a one-size-fits-all scenario with most insurance. That's why I definitely have an insurance advisor, especially on the commercial stuff, or if you have a growing portfolio out there, to kind of assess and look at some of those areas you might be underinsured or have a big risk aspect that you might be missing. So give us a call for that. I'm excited for today's guest. He has been in the real estate business around Lexington for a little bit now. He's born and raised right here in Lexington, attended UK several years back now. And it's got a unique story, I know, and we're going to talk all things, either personal side of real estate, some of the commercial stuff, and maybe even go to some random side tangent topics that I'm excited to talk about. But it's my pleasure to introduce Kush Rathod, right?
Yeah, Kush.
Kush, as for short, everybody calls you, I know. But I appreciate you coming on the show, and how things been?
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited. I'm doing well. How are you?
I know. I'm getting more sleep now these days. Once in real estate stuff have been taking off a little bit, but jump back in the DeLorean like we normally start off each show and kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into real estate to begin with.
Yeah, sure. So,
because I'm assuming, like most people in real estate, you did not set out to be in real estate.
Well, actually, the other way. I've actually had my sights on real estate for over 10 years.
Oh, playing the long game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So the story goes back a lot, actually. So my family constructed a home back in 2009, 2010, right after the recession.
Yeah.
A very interesting time, obviously, for our economy. And I just remember working with our realtor. It was a new construction, so it took a long time.
Sure.
This took 4 months to build a house. And I just loved everything about him. And he was knowledgeable. He had great customer service. And I was like, I want to do that. But at the same time, I had a desire for healthcare.
Okay.
So at UK, I actually graduated with a degree in biology.
Really?
Yeah. So I have a science degree.
There you go.
And then right after UK, I started working in the ER at Baptist Health Lexington.
That's an intense job right there.
Yeah. Well, I was just a scribe.
Sure.
But it got intense a couple of times.
I'm sure it's more intense now than it ever has been.
It is, and I salute salute all the healthcare workers out there. They're still going at it. Yeah. It can't be easy.
No.
But yeah, I was there at the ER and did it for a little bit, and then the pandemic started.
Okay.
And that got a little crazy.
Okay, so you're on the tip of that in some respects as far as being involved with it?
Yes, in the beginning part, yeah, definitely. So I remember, I think one of the big moments I had, it was an epiphany I had, which is why this is really serious.
Yeah.
And it was when I was driving to the ER, because I had a shift. It was a 10-hour shift. And it took me only 8 minutes to get there because there was no cars on the street. This is, I think it was April of 2020.
Okay.
Right when everything's shutting down.
Yeah.
And I remember there's no one out there. And I just remember how this is going to be a really serious thing.
Sure.
A little bit after that, I decided to resign. And I just took a break. I was mentally exhausted, Took a hiatus for about a month. I didn't do nothing. I binge watched TV.
Yeah.
I went out with some friends. I didn't do nothing. But then I realized that I always had real estate as a passion. And the reason why I had it as a passion is because I've been to other countries, and the real estate in other countries is much different than here in America. For example, let's take...
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I went to London, England, right, back in 2019, I have family there. So, obviously I got to stay at their home. Very nice of them. And I remember looking, and first of all, nothing wrong with the real estate over there in London. It's fantastic. It's beautiful.
Sure.
But I saw a lot of cookie cutter real estate properties. They all kind of look the same and all that, as opposed to when you come over here, especially in Kentucky, in here in Kentucky, we have everything.
Yeah.
From like a cookie cutter townhouse all the way to like a mega million mansion.
That's true. Now that I think about it, especially Europe or those shows, I know my wife watches them all the time. Like, I don't know, whatever the main home show is, international. She's gonna kill me for
House Hunters
House
International.
Hunters International. Thank you. But you're right. Yeah, unless it's like some kind of a really wealthy home or mansion thing. And even still, then I guess because things are so old. A lot of things are just a lot more older structures too.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's so much just the same looking everything.
Absolutely. And so that was one of the moments that made me realize that if you love something so much and there is an opportunity for you to have a career out of it, then you have to go for it no matter what. That's one of the things that my father taught me.
Okay.
He's a business owner here in Lexington too. We have our own small business here. And, we've been over 30 years. So like, I've been learning a lot about business from a very young age, ever since I was a baby.
For everything they don't teach you in school necessarily.
Exactly. Like the customers that we've had for decades remember like how I was when I was a baby playing with my Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
And like here I am now serving them. But I just realized that I should go for it. So I enrolled in real estate school. It was a 6-month online program at your own pace, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I finished in 1 month. Everything. I really wanted this. I studied 14 hours a day minimum. That was my schedule.
You're like, I'm betting on myself here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked out in the end. I took my test at the airport of all places. It's very strange.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like near a private jet hangar. They have a room right there with computers. I was like, wow. It was distracting too because airplanes kept taking off and and landing. But I took my test, passed it. After getting the license, I interviewed around, joined United, and the rest is history. I've been having such a great time, and I can truly say that I am incredibly happy in my life.
Yeah.
I think I wish everyone could say that they're truly happy in life.
And I think that comes down, I assume, a lot of ways of being able to be, in essence, your own boss, set your own schedule, be in charge and of your own, not only, like I said, your own schedule, but also just your future. It feels like you're more in control of your own future at that point.
Absolutely. I'm CEO, right? So,
right.
I have now total command over what I can do, what I believe is best for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I have all the power, I mean, I'm not trying to sound selfish, but I feel like now I have total command as to how I want my life to navigate. Obviously, I want it to navigate to a proper level. I want to take myself and like improve my personal development and everything. And it's definitely working well so far.
Nice. So you've been in a couple of years now, and
yes,
we're obviously, I'm sure, getting into it when you did was obviously an opportune time for sure in some respects, but obviously we're approaching a much different market now, and a market that a lot of realtors have not been in. Like, I think I forget the number, but I swear someone once said to me that like about 2/3 of current, I think there's been a lot of shifting in who's been in real estate type of thing through this. And I think a majority of people have not been through, obviously, what we're kind of going through now with rates and the market hardening. Like we've talked about on the show, again, Kentucky's very insulated in many ways from the the national picture in that respect, for sure.
Absolutely.
Even in 08, 09, those types of things, there was, it definitely doesn't hit us as hard just the way the nature is for Kentucky. But I mean, what's that kind of looking like right now? I mean, what's been where are you seeing that? I mean, the difference of what it was when you were getting in versus today right now with like clientele and houses and the unique aspect of Central Kentucky with the urban service boundary, and even speak to a little bit about like new builds and what's going on with that too, because obviously that's a highly important aspect to kind of control demand and stuff as well.
Absolutely. New construction has definitely decreased a little bit in terms of its production, but this year has been a roller coaster for building materials. So I think that's why we've had a slight decrease. But overall, I mean, when I started, the market was hot. I mean, I'm talking sizzling hot.
Right.
People were selling their houses for like, I don't know, like 10, 15, 20% over asking. And it was crazy.
Right. I mean, it's like at some point, like there's going to be some give and take, and there's going to be an effect that eventually that's going to happen from that.
Absolutely. I mean, that market was not normal at all. It was an unusual market.
Yeah.
Now I feel like right now, people keep asking me, is this another 08 recession? I always say this, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a normalization actually,
Yeah.
A transition period, no doubt, but this is a normalization. The market is just simply normalizing.
Yeah.
I mean, rates, yes, they haven't gone up. And right now, on the date that we're recording this, they're like low to mid sixes, I remember, well, I don't remember, I wasn't alive, but a couple decades ago, interest rates were in the teens.
Right.
So I think.
Which is crazy to think about.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that is absolutely unreal to think about that.
Absolutely. So, like, what I've been saying to everyone is this: you got to marry the house, and you got to date the rate.
Yep.
That's it. Rates will always fluctuate, and we can always refinance later on.
Yeah.
Save money, but opportunities of houses and homes that somebody falls in love with, if it comes and goes, it may not come again.
I've even seen some people doing more of like a commercial kind of esque arm side of things, because those can be a little bit better right now with the private local banks and, with the idea of refinancing it. I'm sure you've seen that, right?
Absolutely. Those adjustable rate mortgages, they are in the 4s. I mean, and like, they're just much better, I think, in my opinion. You can do like a 5-year, 1 year, a 7-1. Some people have a 10-1, it's...
Yeah. And that's good too. I mean, again, that's where the real estate advising kind of is even more helpful at this point, because now we've got to navigate a lot of different other factors that we're not at play, other than just like, you better have cash, otherwise you're probably not winning, kind of was, I'm sure, what the previous thing looked like.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people, there's still a lot of buyers out there that have cash.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like...
I'm still sure you're seeing like a lot of people out of state moving here from big cities.
Yes. I mean, simply for a couple reasons. One, we have one of the lowest property tax rates in the country,
Do we really have one of the lowest?
I believe we do. I mean,
interesting.
I was...
it just feels high, but I mean, that's just because I've lived here most of my life, right?
Yeah, it feels
And
high.
now as a property investor, I'm like, man, that's high.
You go to Cincinnati, it's not too far, right?
Right.
And their rate is higher, and they pay more than once a year,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like... Over here, I would take 1.2% anytime in Fayette County. I would take it all the time.
What is the rate, by the way, in Fayette County?
1.19.
1.19,
But
somewhere
it fluctuates
in
in different regions.
around that 2 mark ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially once you exit Fayette County and go to like the surrounding counties, they can go less than 1%.
What are you seeing about as far as surrounding counties with that? Obviously, Georgetown was such a hot market for the last decade. It feels like, in some respects, was the fastest growing for a period of time. I think that's going to slow down. We're going to see other places like probably E-Town maybe ramp up, with obviously a lot of stuff happening with the. But as far as the other towns around this area or certain parts of Kentucky, what are you thinking? What are you seeing in that sense, as far as where people are kind of starting to migrate to, and the location aspect change as far as where people are moving?
Yeah. So Fayette County is pretty full.
Yeah.
There's no place to move, So people are going to those surrounding counties, and they are growing. Georgetown is continuing to grow. Jessamine County, like our Nicholasville, Wilmore areas, fantastic growth.
Yeah.
Madison County, oh my gosh, that is something else right there in Madison County.
Right.
What they're doing in Richmond and Berea, especially Richmond, they got a lot going on. I think really we are turning into the next Nashville.
Okay.
We're going to be one big metro.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And again, I guess that's probably true. If you go back and think about Nashville, I mean, Franklin is it's almost considered part of Nashville now that I think about that. Whereas before it was such a smaller town out of the way kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You're right. I could see that. I mean, I wonder, it's kind of interesting too, because then you got to see how we adapt as a planning committee side of things with this, probably obviously as a whole of the state. North side of Lexington being easier with the aspect of real estate, or the highway and interstate itself going right there. But it's always an interesting thing for the south part of Lexington with Jessamine County and so forth.
Yes. I mean, especially we just received news this week about North Lexington. $60 million investment going on in North Lexington. That's Citation and Georgetown at that corner.
From who?
It's going to be a shopping center, restaurants, stores.
Really? With Citation and what?
And Georgetown Road. So it's Citation.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So right there in that northern part of Lexington. Yeah. So I actually went on the PVA this morning to check it out. They spent $10 million on the land. And so and they bought it from Gatton.
Who bought it?
Some LLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some investment firm type thing.
Yeah. So
which makes me think they got to start widening that road out to Georgetown that way too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
getting more I'm sure that's now got to be part of that. Of course, now we just had the final renderings of downtown with the park, which was
that was beautiful.
Beautiful. Like that's going to change downtown so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, downtown's going to be something super special. Like, and you grew up here. Like, we didn't go downtown when we were growing up unless you were going to a UK basketball game.
Exactly.
Or see the Globetrotters if I was a kid, right?
That was fun.
Right? Or the circus back when the circus was an actual thing.
Oh, yeah, the circus. The monster trucks, too.
Right?
Oh, my God.
I've never been. I want to go now with my boys.
Oh, my gosh, the energy is crazy.
I want to do that now with my boys. But, yeah, like, downtown is going to be, Lexington is going to turn into such a special, special place that's already special, but it's going to marry the aspect of just the visual and aesthetic draw to it now outside of just the things to do with it, do there too. The concert facility that'll be there now, like, I'm excited. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. I mean, I feel like Lexington is competing with Louisville in a way. We've always competed with them.
Sure.
We're rival cities. It's okay.
It's okay to say that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it, yeah. I love Louisville. They're a great place, great people. But I think in Lexington, we got something really special brewing. And especially these past few years alone have been incredible in terms of the planning, and the growth, and the vision. I mean, look at Central Bank Center. It used to be the Lexington Center, and now it's Central Bank Center. I was just there this week. And it is simply remarkable.
Is it fully open now? Completed?
There's still some parts under construction. Okay. I was walking, which took me forever. I got lost inside.
Because we were used to the same format forever. Yes. I know it's all changed because I walked in there I took my kids over to Dude Perfect a month ago. I've been watching it with them for since they were born type of thing. So my kids have been kind of growing up with Dude Perfect.
Nice.
It's usually bath night, and then we watch Dude Perfect or whatnot type of thing. But
they're fun.
We got in there. I was like, I don't recognize, this doesn't look anything like what I remember it. Like I was kind of the same way. I was like, we went in a different entrance and everything. I was just like, it was wild. So I know what you're saying there.
It's gonna be crazy when they finish with it. I mean,
and now of course with the real estate that's gonna be built up on the parking lot area now too. That's a huge thing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Huge. Shopping, grocery, etc. So
yeah, I mean, high density residential. Just they're really changing the landscape. I think.
Yeah.
There are going to be some people that are going to love it, and some people that are going to hate it. But regardless,
from an investor side of things, it's more just changes how we have to start looking at things, right? Obviously. Right. So, I mean, do you work with investors, I assume, or how?
Oh yes,
and
absolutely.
What is that? That's always an interesting part because finding good deals, or it seems like it's harder and harder, obviously. But if you want to put the work into it, and can you speak to that or anything like that?
Sure thing. So I represent a number of investors, and I also represent an investment group. It can be quite challenging nowadays. I mean, obviously, if you want to get a deal, first off, whatever you see online, you can just throw that away.
Yes.
Yeah. It goes online to die. Right?
Yeah.
The real properties are the ones that your friend's telling you about.
Yeah.
The ones that your neighbors, brothers, sisters, husbands, those are the real properties, right? So the commercial side on that, I mean, finding something for investors, I mean, it's not impossible, but you gotta have a broad scope nowadays.
Sure.
I mean, let's say I want a hotel. Okay, well, what kind of hotel? How many keys do you want? What kind of expected cap are you expecting? Are you ready to tackle on, if it's going to be a franchise or all the different types of responsibilities that come with hotel ownership. And they just like deer in headlights. I'm like, okay, we got to circle back.
Let's take a few steps back here. Yeah.
So obviously, you need to keep it a little broad on.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you start because like I said, Lexington, not that much anymore.
It's easy to get into I want to invest in real estate. And then everybody keeps trying to I'm just instantly going to go with this because of the shiny object of maybe short-term rental or whatever else and stuff like that. Instead of, maybe there's an idea of where you should get into real estate for sure, but also doing your research. What do you want? What are you good at? What is actually me and my business partner did that same thing too. We started one down one path really. I don't know. I think you may have heard that story as far as our how we got into real estate investing, but it was like, then it kind of took a couple different other turns before the doors kind of opened and we realized, you know what, this was actually a better option anyway to begin with. And it was easier to kind of see the YouTube videos or the other stuff like that that's out there, you know, people that we like to follow and stuff. But, you know, finding what works with our specific area. Because in a lot of honesty, a lot of times those real estate investors are having to, what is in their mind of how they're going to invest, they're having to go to those places in the U.S. that works. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it doesn't just, obviously, you know, it doesn't adapt to like this type of real estate investing will work right here. That's not always the case, obviously, type of thing.
Yes, I agree 100%.
So,
especially when we talk about short-term rentals, I think, you know, before it was okay, because obviously when we talk about short-term rental, what is it? It's basically Airbnb, maybe a little Verbo, and a couple other things, but really it's Airbnb and Verbo, right? I'm not going to talk negatively about those companies. You know, they're succeeding because for a multitude of reasons, but people are starting to go away from that and go more towards long-term rentals. And then the reason is because...
As far as investors, you're saying?
Yes, as far as investors, yes. Because, like, I remember I was on Airbnb a couple of days ago looking at some rates for a trip next week. And the cleaning fee alone was ridiculous.
Hot tip here, and maybe you've already done this too. If I ever am looking for Airbnb or VRBO places, I will go in, I will check to see who's managing that Airbnb. And more often than not, if it's a bigger group that's managing it, maybe you don't have as much of the personal touch that you would with an individual. But obviously, usually you can look and research and Google that company and find a direct-to-book website to book it and circumvent a lot of those Airbnb Verbo fees and save money on that side.
Absolutely. Customer service, right?
Yeah.
You want customer service from a big, giant corporate office.
In those cases, it's a bigger company running it, but you're still getting the same level, just cheaper cost because you went direct to their website. They're making more money. They're more happy that you're doing it that way anyway, and you're also paying a cheaper price. So
Exactly. You know, that's a good tip. Whatever you can do to save money, right?
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, long term's never going to go away.
Never.
And so there's definitely much more highs that happen, obviously, with short-term rental, but it's much more of a shaky aspect as far as that goes. That's why I love sometimes more or less the ADU side of things, of like having a secondary way with your own property you live in and everything. I think that's a great, unique way.
Absolutely. And it's turned out it's really going strong in California right now too.
Okay.
Having ADUs, because let's face it, in California, we thought there were problems here in Kentucky with inventory. California, man. If you're listening right now from California, bless you. Hang in there. But just, oh my gosh, California is a different story. So the ADUs are really, really, going strong over there.
It's interesting. Now, you are also part of a couple different real estate groups, and you were just talking last week or this week, I think this week with the Kentucky. You said it was the Centennial Kentucky Real Estate meeting?
Yes. So this week was the Centennial Kentucky Realtors Convention at the new Central Bank Center.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. The last day was yesterday, actually. I didn't get to attend yesterday at a meeting, but I went the other days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it was fantastic. First of all, this was the very first convention I've ever been to.
Sure.
And I've seen conventions and conferences and movies and TV shows. I mean, like, we all seen The Office, right? And when they go to their conference, I'm like, oh, that looks nice. I want to do that. I want to get a name badge and everything. When I did, and as soon as I got my name badge, like, I should have bought it. But I put a bunch of ribbons on there, like, I'm a speaker. I'm in the YPN committee. Show Me the Money was one of them. And it was amazing. But, yeah, it was great. We learned a lot. I actually got to speak at it.
Yeah.
I spoke in one of our mini sessions that we had on the first day, which was incredible. It was an incredible honor, and I'm incredibly grateful to have been given the opportunity to do that. Because my personal philosophy is that growth is collective.
Okay.
When you want to grow, you can grow by yourself, personal growth,
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But if you want to really grow, the best thing you can do is grow yourself and then uplift others to grow too.
I think some people say if you want to go far, go, or if you want to go something, go by yourself. You want to go far, go with people or something like that. Yeah. So similar saying there.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
So like, I love to teach. I love to share. I love to, do presentations. I have no fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
At all. I believe it or not, I actually used to have a fear of public speaking.
I did too. And then, like, I don't know, that's honestly, if I go back to college, like, I feel like a lot of the classes were a waste. Probably. I mean, I wasn't in biology trained to be a doctor, which seems like was definitely not a waste. But I feel like for the most part, a lot of my classes were a waste in some respects. But I always point back to the class I refused to take, and then eventually I did. And I still to this day say was the number one class that helped me more than anything else, which was, I think, was it COM 181?
Oh, okay.
Basic public speaking. Was that what it was at that point?
Yeah, I took that class.
Yeah. I literally avoided that class for like a year or something like that and finally took it. And I have to say that was the biggest thing, I think, in college that helped me. And then, like, now I just, like, okay. And my wife hates it. She's like, she has to be prepared and everything written out. I'm like, I just need some bullet points. I'm just going to get up there and start talking. Exactly. She's like, oh my gosh, no. I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
That's how I kind of did my presentation.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was basically I had some slides, but I barely put anything on them because when you have notes or if you're reading off a slide, that's not a good presentation.
Yeah.
So I just have a couple lines and I just did
if you know your stuff, then you can just talk and you don't have to have like a bunch of that stuff.
Exactly. Just have fun. Especially if you know the stuff, and then you don't have to worry about anything.
Of course, your topic was super unique and different than the norm.
It was. So I talked about cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And when that was announced,
did a lot of people come attend to that? They're like, what in the world is that doing here?
They were really surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, here I am, probably one of the youngest attending members at that convention by at least probably 10, 15, 20 years. Nobody was in my age group. And it's a lot of them have not even heard of cryptocurrency. Some of them have heard and oh yeah, it's that one Bitcoin thing. Oh yeah. I was like, okay, that's your knowledge level. Okay, don't worry. We're going to work on that. But I talked about cryptocurrency. What the presentation title was Cryptocurrency and Real Estate. What do the 2020s look like? Because we're just starting this decade. Yeah. We've had a rocky start. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. We had a weird start for 2020s, right? With the pandemic causing our housing market to be acting unusual. Now that we're in normalization, we're getting back to how we used to do things. But I talked about, the future going all the way up to 2029 in my presentation. And whether, you are for it or against it, cryptocurrency will become a part of our everyday lives. Mm-hmm. It already is, it's
I like to say blockchain. It's definitely will become a part of life,
Yeah.
And I think, because there's a broader scope there type of thing than just the currency aspect for sure. But yeah.
I agree. Yeah, blockchain is being used widely. I mean, look at the state of, I think it's Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, they're using blockchain for their voting systems,
Oh, really?
Yes, and I think it's proven to be 100% foolproof.
Yeah. So honestly, I hadn't even thought about the voting aspect of blockchain.
Yeah, there's a lot of applications, I think, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think it's something that we should be using in society in multiple factions of society.
Yeah,
because it can really improve the function.
Because if you think about social media, Web 2 type of stuff, that really started. So I went. My freshman year was 04. UK.
Okay.
And I tend to usually say my years of college, some of the things that changed the world the most in the last, however many, my lifetime happened during that point in time. Facebook was invented.
Yes.
And the iPhone was released. And those are those changed everything, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't really see social media really become what it was till, I would say, 2010 to 12 is when it really started to kind of ramp up.
Yeah,
and I think you could say a lot of the same things about crypto or blockchain technology. It's been around this decade and become popular, but it's I think, and you maybe speak more to this from your presentation, but I think that this is the decade where it starts really becoming inundated. By the end of the decade, who knows where it's at type of thing.
Absolutely. I said there are over 20,000 cryptocurrencies right now in the world. Which is just crazy. Imagine having 20,000 national currencies. We have the U.S. dollar. We have the British pound sterling, right? The sterling pound. Imagine having 20,000 currencies. That'd be so much right now. So now the crypto market is definitely flooded. It's definitely a little bloated, I would argue.
Sure.
But In my presentation, I talked about how we can be using specifically a stable coin to purchase real estate and to make our transactions more expedited, just to make everything more easier. So I used US dollar coin as an example in my presentation.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's look at this. You can be a cash buyer. That's fine. Cash buyer does what for closing? They go to the bank, they get a cashier's check, right? That cashier's check is delivered to the title company. It'll clear maybe 1 business day later, right? Let's talk about US dollar coin. I go to closing. I have my phone with me, which has my crypto wallet.
Yeah.
In it, let's say I have 185,000 US dollar coin tokens.
Which, for those who don't know, USD coin is the digital version of the US dollar, not specifically tied to the government, but more or less it's tied to more of the value of the dollar as it is, and it doesn't fluctuate.
Yes, that's correct. It is a stable coin, and its value remains $1 per one coin.
Yeah.
So let's say I have 185,000 US dollar coin tokens. I can transfer that amount to the title company's crypto wallet, and they would receive it in full without any waiting periods, like 20 minutes probably.
Man, yeah, just for it to get verified.
Yeah. And like that beats waiting a business day much better. Just like we're just making things easier,
Yeah.
We're just trying to make things faster. Because
I've talked about too, like title companies should be using will eventually be. I already know it's happening in other places, but
Yes.
will eventually be using blockchain for the
Absolutely.
verification process of like titles and changes. It's just a contract. It's just a smart contract at the end of the day.
Exactly. I mean, it's not pertaining to just currency, like you said, verification. The application for blockchain
Yeah.
is so dynamic. It's so strong.
Yeah.
I think there's so many opportunities out there.
So, which leads me into another point. So I dabbled in crypto coin a little bit, and as we talked about, a little bit, like the idea of Bitcoin's going to be more like the idea of gold, where you're not really going to use it for more of the transactional aspect. Ethereum is where everything else usually is built upon as far
Right.
as the technology goes, and what is more going to be the transactional aspect of use case kind of things. I guess that's a big summary version of it. But then I've talked about more or less like the NFTs, like we talked about before, how there's been an NFT, houses sold, a single real estate NFTs kind of thing. There's been you can mint properties, and that's what I'm really interested in trying to do one day, is like mint a property. So like there's shares, almost like shares given out, like maybe there's a coin per square foot of this property, or security token offerings in that sense, where it's a token like a coin, but it's tied to real estate, or you get dividends from it as far as investment syndications or whatnot.
Right.
That's a whole nother thing. But all that aside, NFTs specifically, there's a guy named Ryan Pineda. Come across him on social media and stuff like that.
Yes.
Great family guy, faith-based guy, younger guy, probably about my age, out in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And has, I think, 6 or 7 like 7-figure companies, between a CPA company that just kind of came out of it to like real estate, started just flipping couches in Vegas. Literally, they were just in his garage, and he started by taking couches, used couches, flipping them and selling them. And eventually it turned into like having like renting out, commercial space as far as the garage areas to like just store it all, et cetera. But then it just eventually got into some of these things where they just flip out, they're buying houses and stuff like that, updating them, some hold, some flip and stuff like that, and built this like hugely successful business, right? Well, he's a very forward-thinking guy, and he comes out with this idea, and I heard about it on one of the bigger national podcasts and started following him through it. But he released an NFT about 4 weeks ago?
Okay.
So not very long ago at all.
Oh, yeah,
right?
recent, yeah.
And I didn't know much about NFTs. All I knew was, and I think you said you have some NFTs and so forth,
Yes.
but for the most part, NFTs, like it was more like there's just nothing tangible tied to it. It's just more about arbitrary demand of if it's popular, and that's about it, kind of a thing in some ways,
Yeah.
which is honestly the argument for a lot of the 20,000 cryptocurrencies out there. They're not necessarily specifically tied to anything really tangible.
Absolutely.
Which is where that's not really going to go, and that's what I think is an incorrect way of kind of viewing it all, because that's not the lasting effect or use case for these things. Anyway, so he releases this NFT, and he's like, I've bought a couple of these places, like luxury place, Airbnb type places that he has, and instead of selling them, he's going to hold on to them. He's going to mint all these NFTs, and it's going to be a limited supply, and it's almost going to become like a membership to things with like trainings, things with like being able to stay at some of his Airbnbs around the country, things to like a marketplace where we can, buy and sell, list things and so forth within this specialized, almost like a membership, exclusive membership, right?
Wow.
With a lot of actual tangible things that come from having ownership of the NFT. Again, the NFT just being a non-fungible token, meaning I own it, no one else can duplicate it, or it is tied to me in my wallet.
Yes, you own the rights to it.
Yeah. And so, of course, friends or different people are like, obviously, this is the dumbest looking thing, or, and so forth. But I got one. So they got minted. I got it. That was my first NFT. I'm not going to laugh about this because I'm like, either one day I'm going to be like, yeah, that was really dumb. But I kind of don't care. I just wanted to be a part of this one because it started making some more national news because it's the first one that's really tied and it's some kind of tangible real estate thing in more of a publicized, marketable way rather than just one-off NFT sales of a real estate in Florida or other places that have happened. And so I learned a lot on this. I didn't know anything prior, really, because, learning how the whole system works as far as buying NFTs and transferring it to wallets and stuff like that was a whole ordeal itself, like, having to worry about that, which you can.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was this thing called staking. Are you familiar with staking?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Okay.
no, I've done a little bit of that actually. So, there is a while ago, I was given the opportunity to stake some Ethereum, and so I went ahead and did it because they're going to give me a decent percentage of interest.
Okay, so that was more like an interest thing on your Ethereum.
Yeah.
So so I didn't even know. I'm like, all right. I think I like this guy. I think I like where he's going in a lot of ways. Like, I'm just kind of curious to see where this goes because if I don't make anything out, I don't really care type of thing. I think it was just one of the most unique things in this space tied to real estate that I'd ever seen. And this is like the guy's connected. He does stuff with. He goes to some of these big investor ones with Grant Cardone's exclusive, people that go to see him on stuff. It's tied everywhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
So great follow on Instagram. So Ryan Pineda. But anyhow, so I find his crypto's called Tykes, TYKES, I think it is.
Okay.
I have to look it up. And, obviously the what's on the artwork is arbitrary and doesn't really matter at all. Although some of them were more rare than others. And I'll get to that. But I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on this whole thing. So I get two of them, and we stake them. Staking is where we kind of tie them for a specific amount of time, almost like giving it back, meaning like we don't have access to it to resell it, and it's doing something in the background. I guess yours, it was increasing in interest as far as the overall value of Ethereum in that sense. Obviously, the value of Ethereum fluctuates, but it was going to, so.
Yeah, I got 9%.
Okay, yeah, there you go. And so in this case, though, it is actually, again, I didn't know nothing of this. It's just fascinating to me. I was just like, I just want to be part of this. So it's staked now, and they're getting ready to release the marketplace. Okay. And so I staked it for 3. I guess note that you can stake it for a certain amounts of time, and once you stake it, there's no pulling it out until after that period of time has, been exhausted there.
Yes. Time expired. Yes.
Yeah, there we go. And so mine are staked for 365 days. And the longer they're in there, the more they start compounding upon each other. I don't know if that's normally the use case, but with this, the longer you're there, the more they start compounding on a faster rate. And they're producing Thai coin in this case.
Okay.
And that is going to be what's able to be used inside of their marketplace that they're going to relaunch with things like staying at some of the luxury things, like trainings, access to like almost like a Shark Tank investors group where people can present actual investment ideas to kind of get partners within the club and membership with and all this stuff. Awesome. And it's just like so many different things that they're kind of coming up with that will be a part of that. And then that makes the idea of having that membership now like that much more an actual like tangible use case and, something that would draw value from in some respects. So
yeah, I can totally picture Mr. Wonderful himself just sitting there, Kevin O'Leary, just like, oh yeah, what do you guys got?
So there's like they kind of created this like exclusive boardroom where like if you have so many, I think you had to have 20 of them to become a boardroom member, and so there's about 30 people that had enough that they actually what do they call it? Burned them.
Oh, they burned it?
Yeah. So you and so they issued them like one-off unique ones that took at least 20 to, you got to burn at least 20 of these things, which were not cheap to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And to like to become a board member, and now you're literally getting flown out to Vegas for these, like, you know, you're going to be part of the investment group as far as some of the things that when they're pitched to it. And
that's great.
It's just crazy. Like, I'm just like, again, I'm more just like, you know what, I'm just kind of interested to see where this thing goes. You hadn't heard about it?
I haven't heard about this at all.
I know what you're doing tonight.
Oh, absolutely. About 2 hours of YouTube video right there.
No, it's yeah.
That's different.
Right.
I think
he's just thinking so much more out of the box of what the and I think that's the way that's what it was that drew me to it. It's like the same thing with social media. Like we all just thought of it as like posting pictures of what we were eating, stuff like that. But then you have other people start realizing the use case, transactional, marketing, business, everything else around that. You're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, utilization of these platforms, if you can really think deep, you can take it far. I mean, what he's doing, what Ryan's doing right now, he's thinking in the year 2045. That's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, 100%. He's playing the long game.
Yeah. And sometimes nobody, like, let's face it, nobody wants to play the long game at all. I don't mind playing it. I'll play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, that's fantastic. Like,
here it is. TYK is the Tyke coin. You can't find it on normal marketplace, but then Tyke's TYKES, which you can obviously go to like OpenSea or some of these and kind of find it to purchase.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But there were special benefits just to being a day one stakeholder kind of thing, and in a lot of ways as well. Type of stuff.
Is really cool. I mean,
right?
What they've done essentially is created their own kind of world in a way.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's what Web 3.0 is. It's the next generation.
And it's not to say that even on in a business use case, that the idea of NFTs used to some kind of, like I've signed up, I don't know what it's going to be, but I've signed up, Starbucks is releasing an exclusive one. Signed up for it like a week and a half ago. I don't think I told anybody here at the office about that. Probably because they make fun of me. But I'm just more like, it was free. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just curious to see where these things start going. Because like the possibilities are endless when you start thinking outside the box, kind of the way they have.
Absolutely. I mean, Starbucks, I know banks are already getting into utilization of all this.
Yeah. They're already buying stuff like the digital real estate, which...
Oh, I bought some digital too.
That's a whole nother conversation that I'm just like, I can wrap my head around it, but like, I'm more or less kind of like, I see all the use cases for blockchain, but the idea of the digital world aspect and digital real estate is more like, I don't know. I have I think a moral complex issue in some respects in my own head. You know what I'm saying at all? You're like, I don't really want to live in that world type of thing, but yet there's money to be made in that. I get it. But yeah, so you bought some digital real estate then?
I did, yes. I bought it, I want to say, I think it was last year, I think.
Really?
And basically it was the whole world. I think it was World 2, or I mean Earth 2, I think. I think it was Earth 2. Which is...
Are you saying Earth?
Earth. Yeah, the planet, our Earth.
I thought, okay.
Earth 2. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Earth 2. So I just went ahead and I just bought some plots.
So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening have like zero clue now, especially what we're talking about. I vaguely kind of know what we're talking about. Is there like... Because I know like... To buy an NFT, there's like OpenSea, and there's a couple platforms you would go to, like almost like your Amazons or stuff like that, to kind of purchase these things, right?
Right.
So what is it with digital real estate? Is there certain similar type of platforms that you go to, or is there a per world platform? What is that?
Well, I'm kind of also digging into it, but what I did was, let's break it down. Earth 2 is basically a digital copy of our planet, Earth.
Okay.
A digital copy.
So is Earth 2 the second version of that digital copy, or is it just Earth 2 because it's the digital version of Earth 1, Earth 1 being the tangible thing worth walking on? Okay.
Yes.
I'm just making sure I follow that.
So it has everything. It has Statue of Liberty. It has Buckingham Palace. It has everything. It has Keeneland.
No.
Yeah, it has Keeneland. So I went ahead and I bought some, I won't say where, to keep my anonymity.
Is it in the state of Kentucky?
I do have some in the state of Kentucky.
Okay.
I also have some in other states. I have some in Europe, and I have one in the Middle East.
Okay.
I have one in Dubai. Let's say that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's amazing because like it's the same thing. Basically, buy tangible real estate, right? Like let's say I'm gonna go out and buy this townhouse.
This is back to the long game, real long game on this part of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a longer play than
Absolutely. I'm the most patient person you'll ever meet. Like if you tell me like, hey, this investment right here, you're gonna have to wait 20 years. I'm like, okay, I don't mind. I'll be right here.
What's
sitting
the
on this
potential
chair.
return? Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting at all. I'm very patient. I've been blessed with that. But yeah, just like if I were to buy something tangible and I get a return, right?
Yeah.
Same thing on Earth 2. Obviously, demand is not high right now on Earth 2, right?
Okay.
But one day, it could be, right?
Right.
And it's like all investments. Either it's going to go great or it's going to crash. So it's a risk,
Yeah.
So if you're thinking right now, if you're listening, you're thinking, I'm going to go buy something on Earth 2. It's just like any other investment. So definitely do your homework first.
And they can be like unlimited worlds kind of created with digital real estate, but is there like some main ones like Earth 2 and is there other main ones where the majority of everything kind of funnels to, which would make sense to me, kind of like, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the main two, obviously, use case platforms for digital currency?
There are, in a sense, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of other worlds, I haven't really ventured that far in.
Right.
Because Earth 2 really caught my eye. When talking about, like, let's say the metaverse.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, the metaverse. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's not ready.
No.
It's not ready. I don't care what Snoop Dogg says. I love him, but no.
Because that metaverse, just for explanation here, is Facebook's version of Earth 2 kind of thing, right?
of,
And that's
a
the
virtual
easier way to think about it. Yeah.
Yes. If you are, kind of like a novice in this, one of the best movies you can watch is Ready Player One.
Yeah.
By Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg. It's kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just not ready yet because first off, it's Facebook. It's taking in charge.
Yeah.
How many of us really use Facebook? I kind of
Right.
really
And
don't.
they're controlling it all. We want more of a decentralized. Is it a decentralized version type of thing, or is it still controlled by some kind of? I assume it's obviously still controlled in some ways, probably, right?
It's still controlled by Facebook and
Earth 2?
by Meta, not Earth 2.
That's what I'm saying. Is Earth 2
that's
decentralized?
yes.
Okay, it is.
Yes, but the metaverse.
See, that makes more sense to me.
Yes, that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should always go decentralized. I don't want one company or one entity controlling everything.
Right.
That's the beauty of crypto, right? Or the beauty of blockchain in a grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
Is how we need to have more democratic control. And by democratic, I mean just having more voices, more people owning everything, and having and like listening to each other. Like let's not have like one powerful entity controlling everything.
So is it NFT as far as the almost like the contract aspect of those plots or places on Earth 2 that you own, I assume, right? Is it some kind of coin or NFT as far as the digital contract is kind of as far as the proof scenario?
I don't think it was NFT, I think. I'm trying to remember. I know I got some contract on that.
Okay.
I paid with Ethereum.
Yeah. We're just going to like earth2.com or something like that?
Yeah, just Google Earth 2 and it'll pop up. First result.
Interesting.
Yeah. Earth and then number 2.
Now I get research I'm going to be doing tonight.
Yeah, you got some YouTube to watch.
Again, that's what the metaverse is always. Again, it was just like that seems very like end of days. Like okay, but like that idea of a decentralized version, even though I don't fully like want to sit here living in the metaverse type of. Metaverse is a thing, but then it's also really become the identity of more like the figurative aspect of what it is in Earth 2 and other stuff like that. But that a decentralized thing makes more sense to me in that. So is that the version where people are like banks and other places have been buying up stuff in at that point?
And everyone seems to be buying up landmarks.
Like, how's it divvied up? Like, is it divvied up the way
it's like blocks? They're like squares.
So you have to kind of go in and find where your potential. You're not looking up like I don't know. Burnt Mill Road or something like that. And
I mean, if you can find it, but it's all divided up into little squares. You just click on the square,
but you can't just look up like a specific road in that sense.
I might be able to. Maybe they might have increased the searchability.
This is fascinating.
Maybe they might have crossed it with the search index like Google Maps or something, so that you can search. Like if I want to search Central Bank Center downtown Lexington, right? If I want to buy all of that, well, obviously it's going to be a lot of squares, but I could if I wanted to. So like,
and then are we building things on it?
No.
Right? No,
I don't believe we are. No, we're just owning it. Imagine owning the digital rights to a property here on
Right.
physical Earth.
But that's the follow-up question, like what happens on that property kind of a thing.
In a digital realm?
Yeah.
Well, as
It's
far
like
as I know,
whatever you
nothing.
want type of thing, maybe, right? I think. in
Well,
some
you can always
respects.
sell it to
Yeah.
other people, right? So you can always sell. I can sell my land right now if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've held it for some time now. Demand continues to slowly creep up. And, well, supply and demand, the price goes up. I made a good investment. And I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I don't think people are ready for this. In some respects.
We're going to something deep.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I mean, as far as Earth One here in the state of Kentucky,
Earth One, yep.
Let's bring it back to that. I mean, what are your, obviously growing up here, kind of wrapping up here, what are your favorite things about Kentucky to kind of do, see, if you had out of town family coming in from London or whoever, what are you doing with it, where are you taking them, et cetera?
Oh my gosh, I love Kentucky's. I am so fortunate to have been born here, I would say.
Right.
I mean, this is a wonderful state. All right, let's go. Let's just list a bunch of things right now. Horses,
Yeah.
bourbon.
All which are unique to Kentucky.
I mean, it's amazing.
I don't recognize bourbon that's made outside of Kentucky is what I'm saying there.
Well, I mean, the ones that made here, that's
Yeah.
something else, though.
Yeah.
But it's just such a beautiful state. The people, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
people, the most genuine, kind people you'll ever meet. You go to New York City,
Oh, gosh.
they don't care about you. Well, maybe they do.
If you talk to them, they're going to probably...
Hey, like, come on, Mike, forget about it. Come on. But like, oh my gosh, the people here are amazing. And I think that's what sets us apart other than the 49 states. We have the most pride. We are the most proud people, And like, I hate to be grim about this, but this is what's coming to my mind right now. We've had, let's face it, a tough 12 months right now in Kentucky. Right?
Yeah.
We had our tornadoes last year.
Yeah.
We had flooding in the eastern parts. It's incredibly sad what's happened right now. We've had a lot of lives lost, unfortunately. And I think about a lot of those families still to this day, But what happened after those events, I think really showed who we are. We stepped up. We got vans and trucks and everything, and we started sending supplies to those areas. Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful. That shows what kind of people we are. We made international news. Mm-hmm. I have family in other countries, and like they were like pulling up on the BBC in England, like, "Hey, we can see what's going on over here. This is amazing." I'm like, "Well, this is us. This is what we do."
Yeah. I mean, to that point, I think we were again by some entity of some kind rated the nicest state in the union, which I was like, I totally believe that.
I would agree with that absolutely, because it doesn't even matter if we're having a bad day.
Yeah.
We're not going to let someone else know that. I mean, we may, but we're going to treat them like family.
Yeah.
A complete stranger comes here. Yeah, you want to stay at my home? You need some clothes?
Yeah.
You want me? I can make you dinner or lunch or something. Or
100%.
Just we're great people.
To that point, I don't know if you know about this. I was just gonna, and for anybody that's listening that doesn't know about this, but do you know what the Wilmore Small Town Christmas is? We're about coming up probably 2 months shy of that. That's why I want to get that out there. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh my gosh,
I don't believe so. No,
Kush, dude. All right, first Saturday of December.
Okay, first Saturday of December.
Started back last year. There, of course, everything was a hiatus in COVID. First Saturday of September.
Okay.
Sylvia Wilmore, which I'm sure, right down the road here.
Yes.
A small little town. I call it Mayberry. I mean, it's such like a little Mayberry from like, Andy Griffith type of show, right? They shut down the whole main street, and it's just like this open house, like Christmas thing with like people are walking around getting goodies from little stores, chatting with neighbors and family and friends. There's a Christmas tree lighting. There's like, and then at the end of this whole thing, like people go over to one of the big local churches there. They all crowd in, and there's like an orchestra, and they all do like Christmas caroling together.
Oh, that's awesome.
And to reiterate about that, it's just like the most like it's just nice. It's just like this little like out of a Hallmark movie type of thing. I'm not kidding. And a lot of people don't know about it, even in Lexington. And it's like right there. I mean,
right
that's
there, yeah. Like you can
less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at in Lexington. But
I'm definitely going.
Dude, First Saturday, just know that that's what it is. You can look it up, but
All right. I mean,
you will not regret it. Take some friends, like
yeah.
a coffee and a thermos, and it's the most amazing. Like, I'm not kidding. The closest thing to a Hallmark movie experience, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And people have no idea. There's those little things I love. Those nuggets with these small towns. There's so many unique small town things around the different parts of Kentucky that are so cool in that sense.
That's fantastic. That's literally the town coming together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Plus, honestly, side tangent note, I believe Mayor Rainwater, who's been the mayor of, he's been the mayor of Wilmore. I could be wrong, but I think I'm 100% correct that he's the longest tenured mayor, I believe, in the country.
Oh, in the country?
I believe in the country.
Whoa.
This is how rumors get started if it's incorrect. But maybe I'm just repeating rumors. But I mean, he's as long as my entire life I can remember, he's been the mayor, and I believe he's the longest tenured mayor in
Wow.
I believe the country. But
Well, then, hey, you know what?
we have to go look that up and see if it's true or not.
Let's reach out to him. Let's get him on the show.
It would be interesting actually to get on the show. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But last question here: favorite date night restaurant where you going in town?
The restaurant that I have been to approximately 1,832 times,
Okay.
Joe Bologna's.
That's such an underrated one, right? An underrated staple that has been here for so long.
Absolutely.
And I need to go back there. It's been way too long since I've been there. And talk about like a small being nice, that charm of like Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Joe B is the epitome of that.
He is the epitome. He is the embodiment
Yeah.
of kindness. If kindness were a human form, it's Joe himself. You know? The food is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like,
I never have a
say
bad
no.
experience there or
Yeah.
come away being like, food's great. It's always just but yeah.
Yeah, it's the little things like,
Love it.
Mother's Day, they have brownies. I'm like, who does that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that was amazing. Like freshly baked brownies, not brownies you buy from the grocery store, but like, I think it's Mrs. Bologna who makes it herself.
Really?
In the kitchen. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like that is what I'm talking about. So I've been going there since I was a baby,
Yeah.
and I'll probably go there again. Down when I'm like 85
And
years
to that
old.
point, I don't know if you ever went to Sawyer's when it was downtown, and
yes.
Sawyer would be working there, and would almost either know your name or know your face, or talk to you. But it's coming back. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't know what really.
Yeah, it's coming back here shortly.
Oh, wow.
So announcement. It's been announced they're coming back. It's going to be in the convention center, I think itself.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
it's not going to be
awesome.
on its own, which I think makes sense with that because they weren't open like late evenings, weekdays type of things. Anyway, it was such a staple for lunch downtown, right? But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's coming back downtown and I believe the convention center.
I'm so glad you said that. I can't wait for that to come back.
Yeah. I feel like we dropped a ton of different nuggets and knowledge and things that people are going to be asking or completely confused about either way. But appreciate you all sticking around for the entirety of the show. If you made it this far, I know we went down some paths, but some interesting topics, just things and food to think about for sure. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Kush, if they want to reach out to you and get in touch with you for real estate needs, looking at investment properties, or just shooting the breeze, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. You can always just Google my name, Kush, Kush, Rathod, Rathod. I have a website. It's a great website, rathodhomes.com. And I always like, meeting new different types of people.
Yeah.
And, it's a personal relationship that we're going to form.
Yeah.
It's nothing business. Yes,
Right.
I mean, we are doing business, but in the end of the day, we're going to
do
be
business with your friends.
Exactly.
There you go.
So it's just a great time.
We'll see everybody back here for another episode next week. Until then, have a great weekend and a great week. Kush, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
To learn more about this podcast, visit our page at keystothecommonwealth.com. To connect with Landry regarding insuring your investment portfolio, email Landry at novainsuranceGroup.com or call 859-687-2004.